Have you ever stopped to think about who actually makes the rules for your phone, your internet, and all the apps you use every day? Well, in Ghana, that's all about to change in a pretty big way. We're going to dive into the proposed 2025 National Communications Authority Bill. Think of it as a brand new rulebook that's set to reshape the country's entire digital world. So, let's break it down.
Right, so your phone, your data, the apps you use to talk to your family, all of that operates under a specific set of rules. And in Ghana, that rule book is getting a massive overhaul, a major rewrite for the modern digital age we're all living in.
And at the very center of this whole story is the National Communications Authority, or the NCA. You can think of them as the referees for Ghana's entire communications game, making sure everything runs smoothly and, fairly for everyone involved. So who's really in charge of your connections? We're going to start by looking at the NCAA's role and, more importantly, why the old rules that they've been using for years just aren't cutting it anymore.
See, the NCAA has been running on a playbook written all the way back in 2008. Now, it was a solid foundation for its time, for sure, but let's be honest, the digital world has completely transformed since then.
Back in 2008, the mission was pretty simple: regulate the phone and internet companies. But that was before the absolute explosion of apps, streaming services, and a digital life we probably couldn't have even imagined back then. The old rules, well, they just can't keep up.
Okay, now this slide is where it gets really interesting. It might seem like a small change in language, but it is massive. The old mandate was just to regulate. The new one adds coordinate and promote. This is huge. It basically transforms the NCAA from just being a referee to being more like a coach, someone who is actively tasked with growing Ghana's digital economy. So, what exactly are these key upgrades in the 2025 bill? Let's jump into how this new rulebook is being modernized for today's and tomorrow's digital world. The first big upgrade is this shift from just regulating services to overseeing the entire communication ecosystem. That's not just fancy legal speak, it massively expands the NCA's job. We're not just talking about telecom companies anymore, we're talking about the platforms, the content, the data, the whole shebang. And then there's this. The bill actually defines an application. The 2008 law didn't even have a concept for the apps we use every single day. This change is a total game changer. It brings everything from messaging apps to streaming platforms under the NTCA's authority for the very first time. So what does all this mean in the real world? Let's break down these new powers. For consumer protection, the NCM can now be proactive. They can investigate issues without even waiting for a formal complaint. For new tech, they get the power to certify our devices for health and safety. Checking things like radiation. And, crucially, they're now tasked with ensuring fair competition across this entire new digital ecosystem. But it's not just about expanding power outwards. The bill also looks inward, introducing a bunch of new rules to make the NCAA itself more accountable and more transparent. Really, it's about building a stronger, more trustworthy institution. And here's one of the most specific updates, a new mandate for the NCAA's governing board. It says at least 2 members must be women. This is a brand new requirement, and it's a clear step towards embedding gender diversity right into the leadership of this powerful authority.
The bill also gets much tougher on conflicts of interest. I mean, just look at this process. If a board member has a conflict, fails to disclose it, and then participates in the discussion anyway, boom, they're automatically removed from the board. It's a really clear, no-nonsense approach to transparency.
Okay, so we've covered the legal changes, the new definitions, the new powers. But how does all of this actually affect you? Let's translate these legal changes into some real-world impact for everyday Ghanaians.
So here's the bottom line. For you, it means stronger protection against things like unfair billing or terrible service. For innovators and tech companies, it means a clearer framework for new tech like AI. And for all of us, it means a more transparent regulator and safer devices. It's all about building a modern, trusted digital space.
And this isn't just theory, okay? This direct quote from the bill shows the power to require pre-licensing approval for new services, and it specifically calls out AI-powered apps that handle your personal data. This is the law trying to get ahead of the tech curve, not just constantly play catch-up.
In the end, this new bill is a really bold attempt to create a regulatory framework for the digital age, one that's broader, more powerful, and way more accountable. It's built for today, but that leaves us with the big question, right? As Ghana's digital world keeps expanding, is this new rulebook truly ready for the challenges of tomorrow?